Dear friends, it is 11 p.m. Tuesday, 5th of April, and we're starting a new stream on Feigin Live. Like every day, we do have an advisor to the Presidential Office of Ukraine, Alexey Arestovych. I see there are a lot of people, more than 70,000, watching us live. Please don't forget to share the links to this cast so that other people knew that this event is going on and can join us. Also, please subscribe to Feigin Live and to Alexey Arestovych channel. If you're listening to that in English version, subscribe to the privateer station. Events are galloping, so it is rather important for us to share the information to as many people as we can. All right, the general review, what happened, day 41. Is everything relatively the same? Out of the new things, there is a new offensive near Izum towards Slavyansk and Kramatorsk. They actually moved, notably. There was some heavy fighting. There was a video in social media today where 95th Brigade is shooting a helicopter from Stugna, Ukrainian anti-tank weapon. Is that what we talked about, the offensive, to try to cut off the eastern side? Yes, that is the one, and it's kind of weaker than we thought, but they're moving. And on the south as well. What's happening near Kherson? Some irresponsible people had broadcasted that there are fights happening right next to Kherson. Is it not so? Well, it was a bit premature to declare everywhere that these things are going on. All right, so it means that Ukrainian army is close approaching Kherson. Well, it's not 20 miles, but getting close to it. I also am getting a lot of questions about the waters of Odessa. There is something happening there. Yes, yesterday we had two notable events yesterday. First, we hit Il-22, the airborne command unit, and we got the air transmission that they're burning, that they're losing altitude and they need emergency landing. And the second, we hit a frigate Type S near Odessa. So a pretty fat sea target, ocean target, and air target were both hit yesterday. Navy target did not sink, but sustained significant damage, and we can judge that by the fact that even Russian forums were discussing that significant damage to the warship. There was also another piece about some surrendered or captured Marines. Please comment if it's true or not. So there was a glitch in the connection. Is the connection back? Yeah, it is back. I'm outside in difficult conditions, so my internet sometimes sucks. So we were the fact that somebody surrendered, and what I heard is that Russian sources claim that in Mariupol, the battalion of Ukrainian Marines surrendered. We're investigating. So you don't have any data? There is some controversial information, and we caught them here and there, and it doesn't. There are serious concerns about the truth of that fact, but we're still investigating and not ready to comment on this yet. And you know my policy, if people want to know, at least we can mention it. So when the time comes, when you guys get more data, Alexey will tell us more. So, situation with Kharkov. We're discussing for several days that it can be a fat target for Moscow to try to capture. And it's a second wave, and Kharkov is a big city. not too far from the line of the new offensive operation. Do you think they can try to attack not just Izum but Kharkov as well, to try to sell it for the 9th of May? Mark, my usual question is, with whom? Who will go and take Kharkov? Well, let's say somebody from Bucha, who just withdrew from the north. Okay, in Ukraine there is a sort of a tradition that usually when some hard events are happening, there's somebody, some stern-looking man or official-looking lady coming out and saying, enough, listening to that soft fake. And it's, at best, they would say that he's saying semi-truth. The real truth and the real hard truth is that Russia will get the 3rd wave and the 4th wave, and they will come and they'll take something. I need to tell to these kind of people that your respondent, first of all, is the officer of Ukraine Intelligence Service. Secondary, I'm located in the most informed place where all the data is gathered in this country. And besides being in that place, I also have an opportunity to validate this data, and I hope I do not need to prove my professional skills doing that. 2007, 2017, 2019, all the public announcements of things to come, our conversations here. So I'm probably one of the most well-informed people in Ukraine. And not just informed, but also the one who can judge that information professionally. So what I know is that they have no resources to take Kharkov. And to be delicate, it is much better prepared to counteract any offensive operation now than when more elite and more upbeat Russian troops tried to capture it first time. And right now we have no pressure from Sum, Kiev, and Chernihiv. This has to be some really scary 3rd wave, probably from that equipment and those people, like commander of Russian tank battalion who had to suicide himself because he could not supply more than 1 tank out of 20 to the front upon the order from Moscow. What I can say is that Kharkov is an important target, and it does have a railroad junction there. And I did draw back in the day that the war will start with railroad junctions capture. I think I even sent you a map with arrows and all that. Kupinsk, another town in the area, has a big junction, and it's a huge railroad junction. And it actually has a history. Even back in the Second World War, there was fighting there. So they actually put a bunch of detachments next to that area on the first wave. The detachments that left Kiev north, they cannot be thrown into any battle in the next 2 to 3, maybe 4 weeks. Russia has nobody else to substitute them with. You cannot throw people out in the field. You don't have people, you don't have equipment. They don't have equipment to fulfill the losses, and they cannot also refill their ammo after surprising events in Belgrade, where the ammo depot blew up. Diesel is also at premium because, again, things happening in Belgrade. So, if only advantage they have is that strong side of the Russian army, I don't care about how, you just go and do that. But then you get the same results when you send the tired, war-weary troops to do impossible tasks. They'll just go and die there. And then you get things like the helicopter that is hovering over the same place for long enough to be shot down by anti-tank system. And they will be shooting at Kharkov with artillery, with grads and all that. But taking Kharkov is an unsolvable military objective, at least at this moment. There probably will be artillery, there probably will be airplanes, air-to-air raids, but we'll be counterattacking their artillery, and we'll be shooting down their planes. So I can see somebody attempting to do something there, but I do not see them actually succeeding. As for civilians, it's their choice. Kharkov is an open city that's already working, and services are open. I also have friends there, but it's each own decision to stay there or to leave. We're a free country, so citizens are free to move as they see. All right, well, just needed to ask because everybody is waiting and kind of impatiently to what's going to happen. And that's why I'm answering to those people, the doomsayers who predict horrible third wave and maybe Kharkov will be taken. Yeah, where? And with whom? Anyway, we have 182,000 people watching us. Thank you so much for watching us so late. Share the links. So let's get back to casualties. Keeping in mind today's operations, what can we say about the losses of Russian army? A few days ago we said it was 17,000 dead. It is actually pretty difficult to count. These are close-range fights, mostly artillery and aviation strikes. Artillery is probably the most effective in that kind of destruction. So, let's say they lost 40 units, 40 vehicles. So, at the bare minimum, there would be a driver and a commander in the cabin, and maybe 5 people in the trunk out of 28. Maybe there were 28, maybe there was none. So, it's a guesstimate. Airplanes, the nerds, the ones who are internet sleuths going through all the equipment, with all the pictures and all the details with numbers, they proved 73 planes shot down. We're saying about double of that number. But because many of them do not get registered by any video means, others fall outside of our territory of control. And we're trying to be as accurate as we can. We're never purposely lying. So, in Russian army, we carefully saying it's over 18,000. NATO gives a half of that, 9,000. So what I'm usually asking is 9, not much, in about a month of war action. I think we'll do a better count after war. So the story with that Il-62 or 86 that was supposedly shot over Vasilkov airport. On one hand, people are saying, show us because you freed that area. Where are the remnants? On the other hand, there is already a picture of the engine of that type of an airplane, a burnt and damaged engine from that area. So it's not easy. You need to actually go investigate, find the whereabouts, and probably find the remnants. We know approximate casualties. Like we recently destroyed a couple of brigades, motorized rifle brigades. We, on average, destroyed 40% of them. Each of them is 5,000 people, so you sum it together, you get about 2,000 plus. They're huge losses, scary losses, and that's why we can say approximately about 18,000 plus that Russian army has lost in casualties so far. All right, let's go back to Bucha. I understand that the work there continues. You're clearing mines, there's some investigative work, and criminalists are working. Any new data about victims and killers? So, you know what is Bucha? I'll tell you. You're going there, as a friend of mine told me, you hear the dog barking. You open the door, asking them to maybe give you water or advise something, and you open the door and you see one very starving dog who is still barking, and then there's a whole family assassinated lying in the house. And there are many houses like that. But Bucha, they're saying, is not the worst. They're saying Borodanka is much worse. Is it by more crimes? How worse can it be? Well, they're saying by quantities or percentage of dead citizens of that area. My good friends, professional military agents were there, and they called me and said, Losha, everything we can say is it's worse than Bucha. When I asked for details, they said, I cannot elaborate. And these guys are not sentimental, trust me. And they're saying, I don't have voice to speak to that over the phone. Let me recompose myself and I'll tell you more. Well, we need to speak about that as the data comes up, because somebody needs to. I think journalists will finally get there and we'll get more videos and pictures from that area too. So let's go back to our favorite question about supply of heavy armament. How did the current situation affect the current partners on the West, allies of Ukraine? We talked yesterday and there are no updates since then. They are slowly drifting. It is it's a collegiate decision, slow process. And I see a lot of press releases and news saying, we're almost there, we're sending and getting ready to supply. I'm pragmatist. I will not trust that until I actually see the weapon on the battlefield. You think perspective of no-flight zone over Ukraine grew? I think we'll open Borodanka and a couple other settlements. They'll probably be horrified again, but I don't think they'll go for a no-flight zone. And we have more towns like that. But as horrible as it sounds, very soon the bread will so-called the blood, and there'll be the pace of counteractions or support actions to Ukraine will not be increasing proportionally. I'm not unfortunately seeing a no-flight zone over Ukraine. What I can see is probably a supply of heavy armaments. And then that is a question of how soon will it get here, what will it be. The subject of negotiations, President of Ukraine announced that meeting with Putin may not happen. After Bucha, he was saying very skeptically about that. In details, he did also mention that we may agree or find agreement, but I do think that it's Russian side that needs negotiations more than we do, and they're actually looking for it. I do not see why that would be cancelled, but given their position on the battlefield, given the sanctions happening to them, and 6th and 7th packages are getting ready. So Russian economy is also squeaking. And then people are getting worried about personal sanctions to Putin's close inner circle. So in conjunction, these things can break a much stronger country than Russia. I think they're very interested, but they're very interested to come to these negotiations as victors, or at least, somewhat victorious. They already don't have Kharkov in their deck. Mariupol, also an iffy proposition. So how long do you think Mariupol will hang? Will stay? Well, we talked to you before. Their troops are defending very non-trivial objects there. They're huge. They're fortresses. with enough ammo, you can take out any enemy approaching. And you can hold on there for a while. I'm communicating with them daily, checking how they're doing. Their response, we're doing fine, continuing the fight. All right, what can you say about these recent news in collaborationists in Novaya Kakhovka? There's another clown brought to Kherson or some other town and appointed to the Russian administration. I understand these are citizens of Ukraine. What can you tell about them? They're usually ex-congressmen, surprisingly leaning towards one specific party that ends in Z. We usually know them. They're usually ex-congressmen, either federal or territorial Congress. And I can say that they're being closely, attentively, and gratefully watched. And at some point, they'll be taken under their right hands, put on a chair, and asked a lot of questions. Do you think if there'll be a counteroffensive, they'll just flee to Russia? Yeah, some of them are writing. It's so sad that some people did not have time to run to Russia. We actually have probably 20 people a bit north of Kiev, really kind of from the marginalized group of people who managed to even support Russians militarily on the block posts on the roads. I mean, there are people on the block posts from Ukraine. I do not quite believe that, but people are saying that there are several Ukraine marginals who did that. I'm suspicious could have been the Russian fake, but I've seen it from several sources, somewhat usually responsible. And I'm thinking maybe there are 20 cases like that for the whole country. Maybe they haven't. So what about their destiny in the future? Well, not too ugly. I mean, we're, country with legal rights, and it's a democratic country, so there'll be a court, they'll have a chance for an attorney and all that. So, we have 234,000 people watching us live because each of them can make a couple of very important things. I understand we probably bother you too much, but we do ask you to subscribe to the channel, to both channels if you can, to mine and to Alexey's, so that more people know the data and can share it. And of course, links to that cast. Please share in your social media. And if you're subscribed, click on that bell to make sure you get all the notes about our publications. We're trying to be daily live to comment on everything happening in this war. All right. So, 25 minutes. Do we have more time? One more question. I gotta run. Okay. One question. Do you think that until May 9th, everything will be over, or perhaps turn into a positional fight and there will not be any progress? I would say that there'll be 2 or 3 weeks starting with a new offensive where we'll be actively and heavily fighting in the east, and after that it'll all come down. There might be a slow-burning conflict for another couple years. If we count today's start near Zoom, add another 2 to 3 weeks after that. And then it'll be the positional warfare or perhaps a peace treaty. Because positional warfare probably will be very expensive for the Russian side. They'll need to supply their troops. How do you send the supplies over hundreds of kilometers in the trucks where everybody in the country is doing their best to prevent them reaching the destination? That'll be an expensive proposition. So if they do understand where that all goes, in this case, they will be looking for a peace treaty south, so they were trying to keep south, where it would be difficult to attack them, to counterattack from Ukraine. But why is it booming 20 kilometers away from Kherson? And then there is Zaporozhye Oblast, where things are happening. Is there something happening there? Yeah, there are some interesting things. I just would not want to disclose most of it. So as they become officially announced, I will comment on that. So we can reach a lot of goals in the south. We'll see. I think it'll be us who'll be dictating terms at the next negotiations. Almost 243,000 watching us, 46,000 put their like. Our break is rather small. In 24 hours, tomorrow we'll meet with Alexey again and we'll talk about the war in Ukraine. Goodbye.